Hi, welcome to the lecture on Chapter 7, Wireless LAN AP Configuration and Management. This chapter, get my mouse to do what I want it to do, basically covers how to configure standalone AP addresses, admin account, administration interfaces, wireless profiles that can be set up, security parameters, how to validate interface connectivity, and how to do some proper configuration. Now, in standalone configurations, there's several things that can be set up. Of course, admin accounts, administration interfaces, wireless LAN profiles, security parameters, authentication, authorization, encryption. But for this exam, for the CWT exam, you're only required to understand the processes used to configure the standalone autonomous AP. You will not be tested on specific interface options by any vendor, but you should be aware of just basic configuration options that most operators or vendors provide. And these are some of the ones, that you want to think about. Now, with the interface, the wired, most of the times that wireless AP is connected to a wired interface. So you need to make sure you understand the IP configuration, internet access, infrastructure service access, and maybe Ethernet port settings. Because several, connectivity requirements should be verified when you're doing this AP installation. And of course, most of those include, proper IP address on the AP, if it's going to be given by a DHCP, making sure that's set up right. Internet accessibility, can you get access to the internet? Are there infrastructure services that you need to get access to? And of course, appropriate Ethernet settings, maybe include power over Ethernet. So just something to keep in mind. Now, when you're doing a configuration, once it's connected to the network and mounted, it's important that you validate the configuration. Client connectivity security settings, because remember that SSIDs are uppercase, lowercase makes a difference. Of course, making sure you give the appropriate passphrase and make sure that's connected is done right. So you want to make sure that client connectivity, security settings, making sure that the coverage and the speed that you wanted is there. Now, to do some of that, you're going to have to see what the configuration, you're going to look at the configuration, and then you're going to be using a Wi-Fi scanner, seeing if your network's out there, see you've got the coverage area you want. And then you're going to use a protocol analyzer to make sure it's got everything you want. But you want to make sure when you're to test the throughput, you want to test a single client, make sure the single client is working. But you also want to make sure, does your network meet specs under a workload with multiple clients? In theory, if you can get away with it, test it under a full load to make sure that your AP is set up correctly to handle the amount of traffic that you designed it to. Sometimes that's difficult to do. Sometimes some customers won't allow you to be messing with new equipment while everybody's working on some of the old stuff. So it's just some of those things you have to take consideration of. Now, one of the things that, of course, I didn't get a chance to run you through configuring some AP, but I did give you a homework assignment that takes you through just some basic configuration settings on a particular AP. So you want to make sure that you take a look at that, and if you have any questions, let me know. So as we go through this chapter here, you want to make sure that configuration specifications should be followed accurately to ensure proper configuration, because remember, spelling makes a difference. Configuring output settings, now they can be challenging and require understanding of the device specifications and making sure how does that vendor allow you to adjust the power, because it's not just a dial that you can tune in, tweak up. So each one does things slightly different. So you got to make sure you looked at the user's manual to make sure you understand how power is adjusted. Many APs have varying maximum output power settings for a different 5 gigahertz channel. So you want to make sure you paid attention to that. If you're pre-staging an AP, otherwise setting it all up prior to getting to a location, you want to make sure that if the AP is changed statically, which means hard-coded in, this should be the last thing you do to avoid reconfiguring all the computer's IP settings. You want to make sure the network time clock is set correct, that the NTP server is in sync with all the devices. If you have cloud-based APs, you got to make sure that they've got internet access to make sure that everything will work. Connecting a client AP is simple and a valid way to test a lot of the settings, but it won't necessarily mean you can handle the traffic load. And then a wireless scanner can just help you validate your security settings the way you want them to be. And of course, if you want to test your throughput, you want to try to get as close to a real life load as you can. So hopefully it gives you some things to think about with this. There's if you go to the CWNP website, they've got another video on this material, so I think that may be beneficial. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I will talk to you later.